Good day, everyone. My name is Vanessa Raven, and my partner is Yvonne Abdana, and we'll be presenting on Chapter 4 Accountants as Business Analysts. Our first objective looks at the role of accounting, finance function in business, and why the roles need technology and business process knowledge. The role of accounting and financial management is to put together and analyze financial and non financial information and to advise decision makers towards current performance and long term goals. While technology evolves, understanding business processes and technology gives accountants competitive advantage. To stay digitally relevant, accountants should know 6 skills from the Management Accounting Competency Framework, MACF, and these are strategic management, reporting and control, technology and analytics, business acumen and operations, leadership, professional ethics, and values. The Chartered Global Management Accountant CGMA framework also includes skills aligned with ethics, integrity, and professionalism. These are technical skills, business skills, people skills, and leadership skills. Next, we look at the importance of business process documentation. The following were key terms. First, the business process is a sequence of business activities that use resources to transform inputs to outputs in order to reach a business goal. A business analysis is the process of defining business process requirements and evaluating potential improvements, which involve finding, documenting, and communicating information about current and future processes using business process modeling. A business model is a simple representation of a business process, which uses essential important business process information. With this, documentation communicates how a business process and system works. Documenting is necessary for internal audit to support management statement and for external audits to evaluate the financial reporting. Documenting is also important for training, describing current processes and systems, auditing, accountability, standardized interactions, and facilitating process improvements in effectiveness, efficiency, internal control, and compliance with statutes and policies. To explain the value of business models help depict important features of business processes and systems clearly. For organization changes, business models provide communication, training, analysis, and persuasion tools, which is especially useful to managers. More specifically, models can help manage complexity, describe and specify requirements, put together viewpoints, manage compliance, support training, and manage and reuse knowledge. Another focus in our chapter is activity models characteristics. Business models that are useful describe process activity, data structures, and business rules that constrain and guide business processes. Activity models show the sequence of workflow in a business process. They are tools for planning, documenting, discussing, implementing systems, as well as analyzing and improving business processes. Workflow models must describe events that have a change on the process flow, activities and tasks in the process, the sequence of flow between tasks, decisions affecting the flow, and division of activity depending on organizational. Next, we look at the building blocks of BPMN diagrams. The business process modeling notation is the standard for the description of activity models. Good BPMN models have the characteristics of being valid and not violating BPMN standards, and being clear, complete, and accurate. Models usually are presented left to right or top to bottom. They have a start to end event and steps describing their nature. BPMN diagrams also have the following basic elements: events, which show effects or changes on the business process. These affect resources such as sales and cash receipts. Activities, which are the steps in a business process. They can represent processes or tasks. Sequence flows, which are symbols that show the normal process of activities. Gateways, which show the process branching and merging resulting from decisions. And annotations, which model elements that add additional descriptive information. In a business process diagram, participants are people, systems, organizations, and machines that perform activities in the business. Organizations are identified by pools, which are symbols that identify participants performing activities and interacting with others. And in the pool, departments are identified by lanes, which are symbols that show subdivisions of the pools.
Hi everyone, I'm Ivan Tan, and I will be going over the second half of Chapter 4, starting with applying message flows to show interaction between pools. Now, the business process modeling notation represents exchanges between two participants in the same process as message flows. Now, message flows are represented by a dash arrow with a small circle at the starting end as shown in exhibit 4.7. Moving to understand flow object types, we need to know the extended building blocks for the BPMN diagrams and modeling concepts. Now, the token concept is when a start event generates a token that must be able to flow through the process until it reaches an end event, which consumes the token. Now, the flow object types, it includes events, activities, and gateways. Sequence flows only connect to flow objects, and each flow object can be further characterized by type. Now, event types are when the BPMN identifies types of start, intermediate, and end events, and these events can be indicated with the symbol shown in Exhibit 4.14. Heading into the different types of gateways, there are three common types of gateways, which include the exclusive, inclusive, and parallel. The exclusive gateway passes the token along the path established by the gateway conditions, and for branching, only one path can be taken out of the gateway for each instance of a process. For the inclusive gateway, it can create additional tokens depending on the number of paths taken. And for branching, one or more paths can be taken out of the gateway for each instance of a process. Merging inclusive gateways synchronizes the flow. And with parallel gateways, it creates additional tokens for each path, leaving the gateway. Now, for branching, all the paths are taken out of the gateway for each instance of a process, and merging parallel gateways synchronizes the flow. When it comes to certain tasks and activities, it wouldn't make sense to add an unnecessary detail to a diagram. So in that instance, we would use the model shown in Exhibit 4.17. Now, the collapsed subprocess contains another process that is hidden from view. The expanded subprocess is used when embedding the subprocess is in the current process and showing the details of the subprocess. And the looping activity is to indicate that an activity or task is being repeated until a condition is satisfied. Parallel is when the task is performed multiple times at a time, and sequential is when the task is performed multiple in a sequence. Moving on to 4.10. Now, the two main BPMN elements used to model data are the data object and data store. Now, the data objects are modeled with the document icon, and it represents data that is only available for the duration of the process. Now, the data store is modeled with a computer disk icon, and it represents data that is available across the processes such as information in a database. Now, association is a dotted line that shows the movement of data between the data objects and data stores and activities. Now, to understand a structured process of the business process model, you would first need to know the steps to prepare the business process models. So, with step one, you would identify the purpose of the business process model. You would define who the model is for and why it is needed and how it is going to be used. For step two, you would define the model context. You would identify the external actors, exchanges between processes and those actor, and any boundaries for the model. In step three, you would outline the basic business process flows, and in this step, you would build on information gathered in step two to define inputs to each process and expected outcomes from that process. Then lay out the expected activity sequence to deliver the expected outcome. Now, in step four, you would define the activities in the process. In this step, you would determine what takes place in each activity, who performs it, and what outcomes are reasonable, including expected error situations. And in step five, you would refine the diagram and decompose activities into any needed lower level processes. You would add details that's necessary to achieve the purpose of the model. And lastly, in step six, you would validate the model with stakeholders. In this step, you would review the diagram with stakeholders that perform the process, stakeholders that are customers of the process, and stakeholders that are responsible for the process. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you for watching.